Hey, Spuddies, PotatoMcWhiskey here, and welcome back to Civilization 6, where we're having a grand old time, building some wonders, making some tourism, and just generally having a chill time of it. We've got Potala Palace finishing, we've got our tourism coming in, we're getting ready to build more national parks. In fact, there is a national park basically ready to go in here. Things are going great. I'm really happy with the state of the game. And at this point, it's kind of just like doing more of the same. Keep on churning your way through. I'm going to take Waterworks on Liang for the extra bonus amenities and housing from certain things, which I do plan to build in Beijing. Yeah, but everything just, everything is lining up, going perfectly well for me. And I mean, we're making a ton of tourism. We're like 22 turns away from winning. I think 22 turns is probably a little bit generous. I don't think I'm making enough tourism to do it in 22 turns. I think that would be exceptional if I were to win in 22 turns. I would say it's more like 60 to 70 turns away from winning. That feels a little bit more accurate to me. Now, that's going to speed up rapidly based on me finishing certain technologies, finishing certain infrastructure. Like I've got the Cristo Redentor on the way. All this sort of stuff will have an impact. Now, in terms of trade routes, I think I'm not trading with Gorgo or Germany or Mansa Musa. So those are the key ones that I want to get a hold of. So I'll trade with Knossos just to open the trade route with Gorgo. Let's go ahead and declare friendship and do mutual open borders with Egypt. That'll be another 25% boost to our tourism. And we'll declare friendship with Gorgo as well. I'm friends with everyone. All good things are continuing. They're the only person I think I'm missing a open borders with is actually Menelik, who for some reason has just hated me the whole game. He just decided, he woke up, decided that me settling on hills triggered the hell out of him. And that was it. He didn't want to hear about it anymore. Which is like fair enough if that's the decision you make. If you wake up and you choose diplomatic violence, I'm not going to begrudge you for your anger. If that is the life that you wish to lead, that is the life that you may lead. It's not my right, it's not my position to tell you otherwise. And I think it would be nice for me to get a national park in this city. So we can basically do that there. Economic alliance with Egypt sounds great. Keep rolling in that cash. We got a little bit of a religious battle going on here. There's the Potala Palace. That's a diplomatic victory, a diplomatic card slot. I kind of want to get I think the Big Ben has been built. It's one that the AI usually goes for. Especially if Mansa Musa in the game, usually Big Ben is one that goes pretty early. I can check. Yeah, somebody is building it or has built it. Yeah, Egypt is building it. So, like I suspected, it's gone. But I did get I got a wild card and stuff, and I like this government. It's got 2 of each card. That's kind of satisfying, actually, in a very interesting way. Diplomatic cards. Could go for charismatic leader. That'd be 20% more envoys. That's not bad. Wisselbanken is quite good in the mid to late game. Colonial tax is fun. I think I'll go for more envoys. Although, actually, I don't need more envoys. There's plenty of envoys. Or there's not enough city-states to spread those envoys around, so it's probably not necessary. I will go ahead and buy a shipyard here in Moneyfold, Jiggle Jiggle. Now, this city was existing just to generate gold, so that is what it will do. I'll go like seaport into commercial hub. I'm working a decent amount of these coastal tiles. That's 2 gold per coastal tile. That's pretty good scaling. And speaking of boring buildings, this city only can build boring buildings. Although I do still want to get my medieval walls, so that I can maximize my memes. I wanted a trade route over here so I can trade with Germany, continuing to build all these lovely forests to fill out my land. Speaking of which, we should be close now to the appeal. That marsh will have to go, sadly, which is upsetting because marsh tiles are like super valuable for me, right? National park, hello. And I want to get as much tourism from as many different sources as possible. Having a diversity of yields from a diversity of sources it's just the right way to play, in my opinion. Oh, right, I need to get open borders with the Gauls again. And last night I did, for the first time, I attempted to free roam my rabbit at night while I was sleeping. Well, I was attempting to sleep. And I say attempting to sleep for a very specific reason. And that is because the entire night my rabbit would... A way to describe my room is that it's like a giant circuit. It's like a big square room. And my rabbit would run around the room, run across to the far side of my bed, jump up onto my bed where my face is, grunt at me because my head was in the way of her path, like her circuit around the room that she likes to take when I'm not in bed. Then bite me in the crown of my head where the little swirly of hair is. Bite me. And then scrabble at my head, jump over my head. Like, the amount of disrespect that I just like received last night is actually baffling. But yeah, she did all of that. Didn't even like kiss me once. Like, rabbit kisses are cute and adorable, and I didn't even get one of them last night, despite the fact that I was free roaming her, which I don't have to do. I can keep her. You can live in that cage. Oh, that's me talking to her right there. You can live in your little enclosure that I have for you. But yeah, like, the amount of disrespect that I got last night is actually, honestly, it was shocking. The sheer amount of disrespect that I got. She literally like jumped on my head all night. And I tried to go to bed, I want to say around, it was like 1 a.m. ish, maybe half one, maybe at the latest. I tried to take a sleep, but I couldn't really sleep because she kept running around the room. She kept jumping on my head. And it was kind of cute, you know, because occasionally she would stop and like I would try to pet her, but she was not interested. But then around 4:30 in the morning, I was just like, okay, this has gone on long enough. And I put her away into her enclosure. And now she's over there, like bread-shaped. Completely self-satisfied that she ran around all night having a great time, but she's too tired. So every time I go over to her, she's like, go away. And now she knows how I feel. So every now and again today, I'm making it a point to go over there and to bother her while she sleeps. No, I'm not doing anything mean to her. I'm just going over and be like, hey, how's it going? How are you, baby? And then I'm just being annoying. Because this is the petty vengeance that we inflict upon our pets. And it's a necessary thing for us to do. For my mental health, I have to inflict my petty vengeance upon my animal. I won't survive the day if I don't. Yeah, so, you know, free roaming a rabbit is a difficult task. Especially if it's in your bedroom. They like to jump on your head. They want to be on the bed. They want to run around. They're very distracting. And if the reality is, I think I'm slowly coming to the realization, if I can't free roam her, I may have to give her up at some point, because I might have to give her up to somebody who has, because I only have one room, right? I have one room. It's my bedroom. My entire life is occupied in this room right now. And I'm probably not going to be able to afford a house for a while. So if I need to, God, what's the word? I care about her and I want her to live her best life. And so that best life might like not involve me. That might just be the reality that I have to accept. I may have to these are things you have to consider, because I'm not thinking about, oh, I love her and I do love her, but I have to also think about the welfare of the animal, you know. It's not right that she's kept in an enclosure for like 90% of the day, and then she gets like 2 to 4 hours of running around at night or in the morning. Yeah, but like, you know, I'm sure I'm an optimistic person, and I'm also like a person who doesn't generally give up pretty easily on things that I care about. So I'm going to keep making the attempt, seeing if I can make her run around and have a good life. We'll see. The Adventures of the Rabbit. It's a trying time here in the PotatoMcWhiskey household. It is a very, very trying time. But I like the challenge, you know, of trying to free roam a pet. I like the aesthetic of having a little rabbit running around, a little fluffy fluffer, just being a fluffy. You know, I've said the word fluffy too many times now, and it kind of like means nothing to me. So let's do a tourism check-in. We're at 470-ish, 41 turns until we win. We are pretty close. We're going to finish the Cristo Redentor next turn. So just to kind of put this in perspective, right? There's 5 tourism generating seaside resorts. It's going to go to 10 tourism. And then when I unlock both computers and environmentalism, it's going to go to 15 tourism. So that's pretty good. And then if I were to pick up Eiffel Tower, it would go to like 18 tourism. It's really good. It's really, really good. Actually, it would go more than 18 tourism. It would go up to, because it would be 7 base tourism times 2, that's 14 plus 50%. It would be 21 tourism per turn. So the potential now, the second that I unlock computers, I have to go unlock Eiffel Tower like immediately, just in order to maximize the tourism, because it combos so well with Cristo Redentor that's kind of hard not to do it. That is the thing that we have to be concerned about. I like these kind of like snaky little bays. I like this kind of a setup for a coastline. Maybe like slightly thicker with like a little bit less of this, and like if this had connected here and just like had a little bay. I like the idea of like little snaky bays of like 4 or 5 tiles long. That's kind of appealing to me. Now this will get chopped. I'm looking for things to kill. Cristo Redentor is finished, and we got the Great Zimbabwe. That's even more tourism churning along now. Very good. I think this might legitimately be one of the first times I've ever built Great Zimbabwe. So I'd like trade routes with maximized gold, which does involve trading with you. Some of these trade routes where am I going to build the Eiffel Tower? Let's have a look at the production here. Beijing could have been the city to do it. Shenyang could be the city. Chengdu could be the city. Is this flatland? It is flat land, so we could do the Eiffel Tower here. I meant to say, by the way, I have grassland rainforest because I'm playing with the biodiversity mod, which allows, it's a part of the Got Lakes map script. It lets forest and stuff, it lets stuff spawn where it normally shouldn't, basically, is the point. Like, I'm pretty sure this map has like ice and snow turned down very low, which is kind of an interesting aesthetic. You know, some people might really, really like that. But tundra is normal. So if we take a look at the city of Shanghai, probably wants to get itself a theater square. Yeah, like that. I've got a ton of envoys. I want to take back suzerainty of city-states that have been taken from me. Yoink, yoink, yoink. I want to sit on them. I want to sit on spare envoys is what I'm trying to say there. I will soon get my first relics. Boom. There's a relic. And boom, we shall get more soon. I was going to keep buying cultists for now. It's just like, it's a great way to generate like a little bit of passive. Like if I go for relics, right? Look, it's for faith, which gets, 20% of that gets turned into science, culture, and gold, right? So that's pretty valuable. It's 8 tourism, and that tourism is not reduced by thing because I have Christo Redentor, which blocks religious tourism from going down. Normally when you research enlightenment, your religious tourism pressure against other civilizations gets negatively impacted. But again, because I have the Christo Redentor, I don't have to worry about that. Is there a wonder I was building in here? Was I building Hermitage? What the hell was I building here? Did I just forget to build a Hagia Sophia? I think I forgot to build the Hagia Sophia. Well, that was me being a very silly man. Gain sources and begin stealing. I should probably build more spies. I've been kind of neglecting my spies this game. But, that's life. One thing I'm curious about, right? This tile has 1 appeal, and I go ahead and place a forest on it and still has 1 appeal. So a lot of people think that old growth forests are better, but I'm pretty sure they're not. Old growth forests, the advantage of old growth is that the tile they are on gets +1 appeal. But for the purposes of appeal adjacency, as far as I can tell, old growth forests just are the same. Like, let's do the calculation on this tile. We've got a second growth that's +1, -1, +1, -1, +1. So this should be 1, 0, 1, 1, 2. Where's the other appeal coming from? Huh. These should cancel out. Because if these gave... Here's the thing. Right. Yeah. Sorry. I'm dumb. This is an old growth forest, right? So that means that this... let me explain what I'm trying to explain to you here. Okay, if old growth forests gave +2 appeal to adjacent tiles, this forest, and this forest are all old growth. Okay, you can see they're old growth. So that means that there's 6 appeal heading into this tile, right, from those alone. And then this is a second growth, so that's 7. And then -2 for the jungle and the mine. So that should be +5. But what's actually happening is that the old growth forest gives +1 appeal to its own tile. And I've never really sat down and looked at this. So how the math is actually working out, it's getting 1, 2, 3, 4 appeal incoming, right? +4 appeal incoming from all these forests. Then -2 appeal from the jungle and the mine. Okay, so that brings us up to +2. And then it gets an extra 1 for being an old growth forest. Like, that's so terrible that, it's objectively, in my mind, I've done this for years and years and years. It's objectively now, in my mind, the correct thing to do is to just always chop old growth forest. Like, there is no reason not to chop them. Let's get a naturalist. We're about ready for it here. What's the best way to get tourism in this city? Probably a neighborhood, for being real. Let's plug in... You know what? I'm going to plug in logistics to move my builders around. The faster my builders move around, the more tourism I end up with. So that seems like a pretty reasonable thing to do. And that came off the back of me, looking at the appeal of these old growth forests in the city and trying to figure out what was going on there. So, I sat down and actually looked at the numbers and I crunched the numbers. And it turns out the numbers are way worse than anyone ever anticipated. Which is good news, because now we don't have to worry about it anymore. Venetian Arsenal is finished, so now we get double boats when we produce them with production. That's pretty neat. And I had wanted to build St. Basil's Cathedral so I can put relics in it, because relics in here get 100% religious tourism. Ideally, this would be built in my capital, because I'm pretty sure I'm getting religious tourism from my holy site. Yes, holy city. It would be nice. I would love to see a proper breakdown of my tourism generation. I just see a tourism number I don't actually see, like, where is my tourism coming from? So 76 turns, that estimate is, like, way off. We're going to win way sooner than that. I mean, we're going to get environmentalism. That's 25% tourism across our empire. We'll be fine. National Park, hello. Up to 600 tourism per turn. I'm feeling good about that. It's like a good old number to be at. I often get asked by people, like, what's the best way to improve your gameplay? There we go. There's computers, by the way. That's a 25% tourism bump across our entire empire, which is huge. We should also seriously consider flood barriers. What I'm going to do for flood barriers is I'm going to come into Chengdu. I'm going to buy an armory and use all of my gold to make military engineers. And then I'll go through my cities. Interesting. There's a floodable tile in the city somewhere. But yeah, I'll go through all of my cities and I'll get flood barriers because we should expect to see the sea level rise in the not too distant future. And I just want to prevent any flood barrier negative externality, whatever memes. I just want to deal with the negative consequences of flooding districts. So by producing all my flood barriers now, I don't have to worry about it later. You probably don't need to do this in all honesty. Like, you could probably get away with not doing it. But I don't want to deal with it. That's my take. I could go through and analyze, do I need a flood barrier in this city? And, you know, the answer would probably be like no in the vast majority of my cities, but I don't want to live that life, okay? Personally, okay, 18 turns until we win. Personally, I feel like once you hit 800-ish tourism per turn, in an 8-player game, am I playing an 8-player game or a 6-player game? 8-player game. So like the math for tourists works out that you need like 400, well, it's 200 tourism per person in the game in order to generate a tourist. Okay, that's how the math works out. So if there's 8 players in the game, that means it's 8 times 200. I think the maths might have changed, but the numbers might be slightly different, but I'm roughly in the ballpark, which means I need 1,600 tourism to steal a tourist from each player. So if I go look at the tourism number here, you can see I have 16,000 tourism, which has stolen 10 tourists. So that lines up perfectly with the math I've said. So I'm definitely on the money here. And then 12,000, 19, you know, so like, right, you get that, which means, for example, against Greece, I'm stealing a tourist roughly every, well, I can just do the math, right? If I take 1,600 or I take 1170, oh my God, why is I was having trouble with my calculator. 1170 divided by 1,600, okay? I'm stealing 73% of a tourist per turn from from Gorgo, right? And the same is true for everyone depending on the number. It's slightly less for Matsumusa because I don't think I have open borders with him. That's why I need to get open borders, which is why Menelik here is hurting my tourism. So like, if we think about that, there are, let's just do an assumption here. Do a little assumption. There's 7 players in the game and I'm stealing 0.73 tourists per turn. I multiply that by the 7 players. So I'm stealing on average 5 tourists per turn, which means I take this number, the difference between these two numbers, right? 85 and 151. So I do 151 minus 85, and then I divide that by 5, and that tells me I'm going to win in about 13 turns. However, this number is also increasing over time, so it's probably a ballpark somewhere between 13 and 20 turns I'll win the game in. So around turn 220 to turn 230, I would expect to win this game. Hopefully that helps you understand why the wonder tourism is quite good. It doesn't work on deity because I would win like on turn 270, but this is like, it's like, you know, the important part of this game right here today was about showing you that there are interesting ways to play the game that I don't normally get to access because I play on a high difficulty. And that it shouldn't necessarily be a goal of you as a player to play on the highest difficulty that you can, because you might not actually be getting the best game experience on the highest difficulty. You might have more fun on a lower difficulty going for a wonder game like this. I would definitely say that most players should aim to play around Emperor. I think Emperor is roughly that kind of comfy level where the game is just challenging enough to where you won't win by accident, but just easy enough to where you can do weird stuff and still win and be fine. That would be like my take on difficulty level in Civ. Is Emperor, is that like, and you could go one step up as well for Immortal if you really want to, but that's my general opinion there. Got to use lots of my gold to keep buying seaside resorts. Now, I mean, individual seaside resorts don't represent that much tourism. My turns are getting kind of bloated because I have to do a lot of like random ass actions and stuff. How are my relics coming along? I've got about 5 relics now, which is quite good. I should continue to faith buy more cultists. I'm basically buying a cultist every turn in Duro Caturton. Nice one. We would like to grab another set of luxuries. Okay, no luxuries on tap. I totally meant to be buying the great works of writing. Thank you, Gorgo. I'll just buy these off. I should have bought these a long time ago. Sometimes I forget. Any other great works? Landscapes, religious. You got some religious art. Yeah, I'll take that religious art off your hands. What about artifacts? No artifacts. How about relics? People got relics. I'll buy those. Any music? No music. I think I now own basically all the great works in the world. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Got a ton of great works in here, making a bunch of faith, making a bunch of tourism. And this is just light optimism. Or optimization, not optimism. That's a different thing. Those are very different. So let's maximize our gold income with these trade routes. More money means less problems. Nuclear take. People say money doesn't buy you happiness. Let me tell you. It pays away an awful lot of misery. Let me tell you. Okay? The really nice thing about having money is the peace of mind and security that you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry. You don't have to you don't need to worry about where's my next meal coming from? Can I afford to buy this thing? Am I going to be able to afford rent? Am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able to send my kids to college? All that sort of stuff that swirls around. If you have just a little bit of money, I'm talking if you're making $100K a year, which is pretty damn good money. You don't have to worry about all that. If you as long as you don't live in a city that's insanely expensive, I guess then you're still, you're still making good money, but you're burning through it. Your burn rate is way too high. So I think, people, the more money, more problems meme or whatever that people say, it's no, more money, less problems. Your problems get more complicated and intellectually difficult, but you don't have to worry about paying for gas. You have to worry about paying for rent. You can start saving for your future. God, I think a lot of people, I think it's always hilarious to me that people are oh my God, I have to save for my future. It's dude, you're in a position to save for your future. You're doing well. You're doing great. You're actually saving money for your future. Dude, you are the ruling class, So yeah, that was just a random thought that came into my head. I'm going to be real with you guys. I got very low value. I got very, very low value from my spies this game. This may actually be the lowest value I've ever gotten from spies. Now my cultists, on the other hand, these have been giving me real good value. Look at all these relics just popping out. But yeah, this is I take umbrage with some of the little passive. I don't even know what the word is for them, but these I don't even know if wives' tales is the right word. But these little phrases people say oh, money doesn't buy you happiness, or be yourself, etc. It's you know what, money pays away misery, right? And there's value to that. Be yourself. Okay, what if you suck? Why don't you be the best version of yourself? Be the ideal version of yourself that you want to be. Don't be yourself, because obviously you don't think yourself is enough. So figure out, are you accurately reflecting your own personal value? And then, if not, be your best self. Improve the quality of who you are. I think there's a lot of God, what was it? There was I can't remember where it came from, but somebody was saying I don't think you should make should statements. Should state, or there's a way to phrase it. They said should statements can be toxic, or should statements are usually toxic. I think we should avoid them. We should avoid should statements or whatever. But I was no. Sometimes should statements are toxic for sure, but sometimes they're actually helpful and useful for orienting ourselves. You should be a good father. You should be a good brother. And then you add caveats provided the person you're being a good brother to is a good person also, and it's not costing you too much, right? There are things. I think it's all a balance. Anyway, I know I'm getting a little bit philosophical. We're getting towards the end of a series. Can you tell? Starting to get philosophical. But yeah, I don't know. This is there's a lot of those little phrases that people say without thinking, and I don't know if it's just me. Am I a contrarian? But whenever I hear stuff like that, I'm that's stupid. No, and I immediately think of the counter argument, and is that just a personality trait that I'm what you and I'm not even trying to say that the person is dumb. I'm just this is obviously untrue. And here's why I think it's untrue. Is that like, I don't know, am I crazy because I like to look for, I don't know, is it like, it's not even like I'm trying to be edgy or I'm trying to be against the grain. It's just like, it's who I am. Like if somebody says something to me, my first thought is like, why is that person wrong? Why is what they've just said wrong? I like it when people are like that with me. I like it when people argue with me. I don't know. I know I'm spitballing here about my personality type and whether or not, I'm just like a giant asshole. No, you got to pick now, I feel like as I've gotten older, I've gotten better at like picking my battles and not disagreeing with everything. Like I do a lot of like appeasing. I'm like, oh yeah, that's nice. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. Energy healing crystals? Oh yeah, totally, dude. Because I'm not here to like fight every single battle in the world. Now, if it's somebody like, I'm kind of interested, I'll disagree with them. Hell yeah, that sounds like fun to me. But yeah, no, this is like, if I start waffling on about crystal healing, that's when we're in the churn, baby. We are churning and we are burning and we are making cultists and military engineers. Also, we just hit democracy. I totally forgot to talk about this. 15% discount on gold purchases. That's pretty handy. And we also get +4 food and +4 production for trading with ally cities, which is netting us quite a bit of production and food here. You can see this is probably, I could just check. Look at all this food and production from my capital. Isn't that bonkers? Bonkers. It says I'm going to win in 7 turns. That's a little bit of an overestimate in my opinion. But it's not far off. I think I can win in the next episode. But I will see you guys in that next episode. I love you all very much. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.